Every salad is.
All right. Good afternoon, East Hampton ARB. We are live. We're streaming to 22 and also on YouTube. You may begin. Phone lines are closed.
Thank you, Matthew. Welcome to the September 12th, 2024 meeting of the Architects Review Board of the Town of East Hampton. We have 11 applications before us today. Frank Guitard, our Vice Chairman, is away on business, so he will not be joining us. So there are just 4 members present this afternoon. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting on August 22nd? Second. All in favor? Aye. So moved. First order of business tonight is change to commercial. This is SM Star Island, 32 Star Island Road in Montauk, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-6-4-9. And this is yours, Kathy.
Yep, thank you. Is a representative here? We just want to make
Is there someone from Star Island? Yes, hi. Do you want us to go on and come back to you? Okay, good. So we will return to item number 1. Now we're moving on to fences, walls, gates, and berms. This is Barry and Suzanne Marcus, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-55-1-28.27. This is 43 North Woods Lane in East Hampton. This was Frank's, but I'm pinching for Frank tonight. So I'm going to make a statement and we'll ask you to come up and talk to us about it. So this is an application to review existing driveway gates on a 1.8-acre lot in a subdivision near Cedar Point Park. The area is heavily wooded and the fencing and the gates have been in place for years. We're not going to talk about the deer fence, so I'm just skipping down. On the driveway gates, they are 23 feet from the edge of pavement and roughly 10 feet in from the property line. The gates are attractive and transparent. There they are. But measure 7 feet 4 inches at the center where they arch up and meet. The adjoining posts on either side are 7 feet tall. And there's deer fencing attached to both sides of the gates. The lattice fencing to the all gates. So we're really just talking about these gates tonight. Generally, we cannot approve gates over 6 feet tall. These are 7 feet 4 inches at the center. The posts are 7 feet tall. On balance, the gates and their posts need to be lowered, in my view, and that can be probably cut down. I visited the site yesterday, spoke to the owners, that they could be cut down to conform to 6 feet, if the board thinks even less. Just as a note, there are very few driveway gates on this street. I counted 2 out of 25 houses I passed to get to this property. I'd like to let Barry and Suzanne fill us in on their thoughts. So if you'd come up to the podium. Then swing the mic so we can hear you. Yes.
Matt, can you hear us here?
Matt, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
The microphone's not working at the podium. Should I move the podium underneath the
No, I think we can hear him.
So we have. He needs to hear you, so you need to.
Just speak loudly, it'll be fine.
So in regards to the gate, that's what we're talking about?
Yes.
Introduce yourself.
Yes, and speak up a little, please.
Barry and Suzanne Marcus. Go
Barry
ahead.
and Suzanne Marcus.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so we always hire local people. I think
You can.
You're going to have to
You're gonna have to
speak
really-
louder.
Yeah,
Speak
play to
up.
the rafters, yeah.
Okay, we always hire local people. I've been a pharmacist for over 50 years and owned a store in Sag Harbor for 20 years with my wife. And we've always taken care of our customers for 20 years. Irregardless, we feel that when you hire local people, that they're going to take care of what you have to take care of. And the gate was installed by this Halcon Gates, which is Raymond, which
Who we know, yes.
Chip knew. And we figured that he was going to do everything to make it right. And he didn't get any permits or anything, but I wasn't aware of. And he showed us an album with photos with all kinds of gates, and we picked out the most attractive gate that we thought would be right. It wound up being 7 feet. We didn't know that was illegal. We thought that was the gate that we wanted, and that was it. He never said anything. He never said, you can't have that gate, I gotta make it smaller. And we were left with this gate. We have it for 10, 11 years. And then we got cited.
Okay.
And that's where we are with this thing now. It's a very attractive gate. People stop and
Admire it.
make comments that they love the gate. And it's very open, so it's not intrusive at all. So we want to know what we can do to save this gate,
Right.
if we can.
Okay, well, you get points for it being so open and attractive.
Be like Justin Timberlake and get a plea bargain.
Okay. Okay. So why don't we just let the board discuss it with you? So Chris, you want to go first?
I mean, it's a very attractive gate, and it looks like a beautifully landscaped entryway.
Can't hear you.
So if you can't hear him, then go over there.
Can I go up?
Just,
Sure, come on over.
yeah, just lean closer.
Yeah, I think,
Can I say it?
yeah, it's a beautifully landscaped entryway, and the gate is very attractive. I have the same issues with, approving something that's over what we're really allowed to approve. So I don't know what the details would have to be to cut it down a little bit. Yeah, I'm sure. But it does sound as if you're the Halcon gate people were, should know the local code and should have, yeah.
And looking at it, I think if you go down one or two, I don't know if it's the top square or the next square, it might be the top. If they eliminated the top square and everything above it and moved that 4x4 post that goes across down, you would get to 6 feet. And then we knocked on the piers that the gate is mounted to. And while there's steel in those piers, it doesn't seem to be above the 6 foot level. So it looks sounding it and knocking on it, it looks like you could just cut the piers down. You could cut the gate down. It would not have the arch. It would just go straight across. It's a relatively minor carpenter job for a good carpenter, but I think that's where that could be where we end up, but I want to hear from Diane and
Or you could
Kathy.
take a few of the rows off of the bottom.
Sure.
If you like that design and you like that element.
That won't work with the height because it's measured from
Lower it.
grade.
Yeah.
it's pretty complicated. I think the hinges are into steel.
And also that it's still measured from grade, so you just have the gap beneath and that wouldn't,
Well, they have to lower the whole gate.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's going to be very expensive.
No, okay, I don't know.
Kathy, your thoughts?
I agree with your suggestion. I think that it's, the whole thing should be lowered if you can do it below 6 feet, even if it's 5 feet, 11 inches. I think I would,
The hinges are going to have to be moved.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hinges are right around 6 feet.
Right at 6 feet, yeah. I mean, we have had a problem with this before, and I actually wanted to mention it to the board today, that homeowners are very frequently left in this position, and I think we should write a letter to the town board explaining this problem so that some of the contractors, are held responsible for these things instead of making it the homeowner's responsibility to go back, because this is a pretty simple fix, and I think you'll be okay. But we've had people come back to us 2, 3, and 4 times because it just isn't going the way it should. So, I mean, as a separate matter, I think we should discuss that and put something in writing to the town board to ask them to regulate this in some way, because it's just not fair to the homeowners that, if these, as you said, if these people, people are in good conscience hiring contractors, they are assuming they're getting a job that fits the regulations. And in this instance, it does not.
And
So,
unfortunately, we're not in a position where we're allowed to approve something as the ARB that is not in accordance with the code.
yeah.
So we're not even, allowed to consider a gate that's over 6 feet.
Right.
Yeah, I think Ramon has been before us many times. I think he's a lot more knowledgeable today than he probably was 12 years ago. And the board is a lot more precise today than it was 12 years ago in terms of gates. But I'm going to recommend that you cut this gate down to 6 feet and you cut the post down to 6 feet. If the hinges are an inch or so, if the hinges make it an inch or two off, that's fine. But we really would look for a 6-foot gate and a 6-foot post. And I believe you can cut that down relatively simply.
You can't just exempt the post.
No,
No.
we don't have that power.
No.
We don't have the power to
The whole
exempt.
thing has to be 6 feet or less. So why don't you get Ramon or some contractor you like?
Having them on there, for sure.
Okay.
I want to cooperate fully.
Okay, and then if you have questions after he looks at it, you can call me or communicate with us and we'll talk to you about it before you have to come before us again.
The other thing is, ticket.
Right, for a generator. But that's not us. That's the building department. We're not involved with the generators.
No, forget about the generator. I'll show you the tickets.
I just, because we were waiting for a CEO.
Right, well, it's going to be one C of O for everything.
Right, the one.
Right, well, this.
So you got a
This
ticket
isn't our
from the town
department.
court.
We appeared already, and we had to postpone it because we didn't have a CO for our generator.
But now they put the yellow sticker on the
Electrical box.
frame.
Now, it was passed, the building department came and approved the generator.
And the setbacks.
We
Yeah.
don't have a CO.
Well, you'll get the CO. I think they're waiting on these gates, and we're probably going to be waiting on this deer fencing, which is specific to your subdivision, that there's an issue about any deer fencing in that subdivision. So that's not our view, we're not dealing
No, we're
with that
dealing with
tonight.
tonight.
Sense in going back to that court date in October, because we still,
Right,
we have to see the vote.
and tell them the story, Yeah.
Should we postpone that date?
If you can postpone the date, great, but I would not ignore the court.
No, I'm not, definitely not ignoring it. But until I do all this work,
After the work's done. Yeah, and you won't have a C of O until all the work is done. Okay.
So in other words, I'll get a CO on everything,
Yes, it's one CO for the property.
one CO for the property.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So,
Okay.
Once we take care of the date,
I'll come back and look at it.
I'm sorry, then we're gonna have to come back here.
You're going to have to come back here, yes.
You have to come back here.
Yeah, but I'll come and look at the gate. But if you want to talk to us as you go through the gate lowering process, please reach out and we will talk to you.
When you told me it has to be 6 feet, you take out the curb, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
And then I should be able to get a CO.
Yeah, so we don't usually grant 6-foot gates, but in your particular case, because of the situation, we're going to be helpful to you. Okay?
Appreciate that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. See you soon.
See you soon. Okay. Is Chris DeSuno here? Yes. Okay. So let's go back to changes to commercial, SHM Star Island, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-6-4-9, 32 Star Island Road, Montauk, New York. Kathy, back to you.
Sure.
Before we started, Chris has another
Application.
application for
Oh, that makes sense to buddy up.
Well, so we'll bring it forward. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Chris.
If that's useful for you
Kathy,
to bring it forward.
we'll do them together.
Good afternoon.
Chris, you're going to have to tone it down, actually.
You are not in need of a microphone. Okay, Kathy's going to make an opening statement, then we'll come back.
Yeah, my opening statement. This is an application for a change to commercial for the Star Island, excuse me, And we've seen this application before. They've had a number of different restoration projects, and this is the next one, which is for a reception awning outside of the ballroom in 70 square feet, and this is the fabric sample for it. Yeah, it's kind of
beige.
it's a nice color. And also for a chimney cap, but let's just deal with the awning first. If you could just scroll through those photos, Will.
That's the existing
Yes.
awning over the outside the ballroom that would be replaced in the same
In
location, same shape, same size.
just different fabric, right? So if you could just, there we go. Okay, that's a chimney. Just keep moving.
For the name of the vendor.
It's umbrella.
Like hoist
Keep
or
going,
something.
keep going, there's another one.
No, it's not.
It's not on there? Oh, I thought it was. It doesn't say what the color is, but we'll need the name of the color for when we write the resolution.
It's on the application.
Yeah.
Is it? Did I
It's
just?
like oyster something. I
Yes,
have it
that's
in the
right.
file.
Okay, well, I'm not seeing it here, but in any case, this is the existing awning, and if you could just keep scrolling. Okay, stop there a minute. The board may recall that we approved these panels a while back, so I think this will match better with those than it'll be a little more consistent. This photograph doesn't reflect well what the colors actually look like. Doesn't it look, it's a much bolder looking stripe than it really is, but I just want, you may recall that from a previous application, but it's just another step in that direction. So there's that. Then we have this, the thing I didn't get was this DOAS screen.
The DOAS is a heating and cooling unit and fresh air supply for the kitchen.
Okay.
So it's a big metal.
It's like a hood.
unit.
Yeah, okay.
So we're talking about a fence with lattice on the top for that.
Okay.
That's what the screen is.
Okay. All right. So then the other, if you could scroll through to the other pictures of the chimney, then they're going to well, okay, there we go. Okay, there's another close-up of that. That's a picture of the chimney that they're going to put a cap on from the water side. Can you go to the next one, please? There we go. So this is what the cap is going to look like. It's just
Standard chimney cap.
galvanized steel, metal painted black. Seems reasonable to me. I don't, Chris, if you have something else you'd like to add.
And so the purpose of the cap is the flue pipes are open to the sky.
And
So-
squirrels.
And squirrels, seagulls dropping shells and rain. So essentially, we just want to cap it off, have it vented through the side. You've seen them before.
No, it's an appropriate addition.
The awning replacement is just the color. We haven't seen the drawing that Mills and Company did, the awning company. We're adding a new awning over the back doors that go into the lobby. We have a problem with the commercial double doors.
Oh, you mentioned this the last time you were in.
So
I think it's before planning board right now, and it's not before us.
oh, it isn't.
Yeah,
Oh, I
it's not
see.
a part of this application.
That's
It needs
right.
planning board.
Thank you,
Okay.
Julie. Sorry. All right, so we're not talking about that today.
Yeah, we're just, Okay. So I'd like to, if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to entertain them, but I think these are reasonable changes, and I think everything they've done so far has been great. It looks nice. The siding looks amazing, by the way. I was there the other day, and oh my gosh, it just looks so great. So I think anybody has any questions?
Looks completely appropriate and in keeping.
Yeah.
Agree. Diane, agree? We're all good.
Yeah. Okay, so I'd like to make a motion that we approve this application for a new chimney cap and new fabric on the existing awning outside the ballroom.
Second? I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, so passed. And then we're going to go to C of Os, because Chris, that's you, and this is Gurney's Inn, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 300-87-3-28.1, 290 Old Montauk Highway in Montauk. Chris, it's yours.
Okay, this is an application to request final inspections for CIVO for some of the projects for which Gurney's Resort has opened with the town building department. The application came before the board on or about April 2nd as a first step to get extensions of time to complete ongoing work, and then also to be able to get final inspections on some completed work. There were some 4 open permits encompassing a number of individual work areas throughout the resort, as well as some open items remaining from a March 25th, 2021 ARB resolution. There's still some work to be done by the applicant to finish up all the areas, and it's clear that they're working very hard at this. But I understand the current application. As I understand the current application, there are 2 building permits that are ready to close out. One is number 69605, which was reviewed by us back in April and concerns a change to the awning color that was previously approved by the board. The awning is complete, and Will, if you can flip to the awning photo, it's complete and it appears to conform to the ARB resolutions. The reason I was asking about the color was because the color of that one, there you go, is hemp, and it is indeed a kind of a hemp brown color. So the second part of the permit, replacing existing doors on the facade of the ballroom, was canceled via modification to the application on 3/28/24. So the awning appears to be the only thing that we would need to certify for this building permit. The second building permit 68806 was also reviewed at the April meeting and consists of lower level changes. If you can go back to the photo, Will, of the entry to the spa. There you go. The lower level changes for new black aluminum Conair framed windows and doors, and also the first photo that you had up, Will, the live green wall to replace existing fencing and walls, as well as new siding on the mechanical enclosure. We did review all of this and found it to be satisfactorily completed back in April, with one question about the nature and detailing of the green wall, which is whether it was in fact live vegetation, plastic fence covering, or some combination of both. And as you can see in this photo, look, there's a combination of both. It's live, and it also has the green simulated vegetation that is cladding the fence. We could discuss it then at any length, but it's in such a discrete low area, not really visible from any kind of public thoroughfare, from the beach, from the parking lot, from anywhere. You really have to go in and dive deep into the resort to even see this. So I'm not even sure it's an issue. It seems, it's completed. It's green and partially live. That's none of this seems very controversial to me. So I don't know. That's really, there's a bunch of other stuff that is that we were told in a communication, I think, to Julie, that by somebody in your office, I can't remember the name, who said there's a few things that were initially in the application that they're not ready to discuss with us. So we're really looking at these lower level spa changes and the awning, which we're seeing them now. We saw them back in March and didn't have any problem with them at that point. So I would seems like, I know there's a lot of work and there's a lot of different pieces to the puzzle, and I know you're working on it. So it's we'll see you again, I'm sure.
Yes.
But
Fine with it, Kathy?
I'm good.
Diane, you're good?
good. So
I think it's such a complex project. It can feel overwhelming.
I'm sure you meant it that way too, right? It was probably like,
We're really trying to close this out.
yeah, I'm sure.
Okay.
And I appreciate it. So I would make a motion to instruct staff to notify the building department that this application has satisfied the conditions and substantially conforms to the ARB approval of the resolution dated November 14th, 2019.
Good Lord.
Okay.
Change of awning color, including the modification to, of the resolution to remove the Conair windows and doors at the ballroom, the live green fencing, the lower level changes to to new Conair windows and doors, and the new facing around the mechanical enclosure.
Second?
Second? Oh, did you say? Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye. All passed. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Thank you,
We're
everyone.
getting there.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris.
Back to fences, walls, gates, and berms. This is 34 Ashwood Court in East Gansett, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-150-10-11. And Diane, this is yours.
Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
My name is Mark Schiffer. I'm with the Schiffer Architectural Engineers. This is Keisha. Jonathan, he is here.
Okay,
So
so Diane's going to make a statement, and then we'll ask you for your comments.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Okay, this is an application for a driveway gate on a cul-de-sac off of Old Stone Highway. There are 6 driveways on this cul-de-sac, and only a few of them has houses so close to the road as this one. But anyway, there are 6, and it has a very rural, appropriate feeling. It is a 72,000 square foot property, and it has a front yard setback for accessory structures of 50 feet, which means any house, any fence or gate over 4 feet located within 50 feet of the front property line requires our approval. And I talked to
Jonathan.
yes, I talked to you, and I think that you were under the
No,
that
I
it
was under the impression of exactly what you just said.
was
And I thought
50
you were
feet. I thought you said
ARB approval.
30 feet. Yeah, well, anyway.
I've always been under the impression of ARB approval.
Even though I appreciate your desire for privacy, I'm not inclined to approve this 6-foot gate. Although I think the proposed transparency is adequate, because it would be the first gate on this cul-de-sac. I know that there's another gate on the road leading to it, but on this cul-de-sac, you have this very charming wooded feeling. And, I don't know. And you put up a gate and then everybody wants a gate. I don't know. Anyway, so that's my feeling. I'd like you to, I think you're going to argue the point. But
Could we see the proposed gate?
yes, of course.
Well,
Yeah, there are two options.
These are-
There are 2 options, weren't there?
right, we came up with 2 options.
Okay,
One which is 6 foot high, and the other one is 5'6" high. And one has
No,
some transparency, and the other one has less transparency.
I don't think I have the alternate. I think that's
Right,
the
we
only
have
one.
2 alternate. I think that it does fit in the neighborhood. I think that it is a remote area. It is, it warrants to have a gate. We went around the area, and there's a tremendous amount of 6-foot high gates within the vicinity.
But not on your cul-de-sac.
Maybe not on the cul-de-sac, but I think that, because there is some, I don't like to use that word gentrification, but there's, in that cul-de-sac, it's coming up, and I think it would be warranted to extend this courtesy to this homeowner. I think it blends into the general architectural features of the area. We have it as a wood fence. That's
so
Will, did you show my pictures? Okay,
is it the driveway on the left or the right?
No, it's neither of those. That's 2 of the other driveways on the
Neighboring
cul-de-sac, and that's how they all look.
I see.
Okay. And that's their
That's the driveway in question. And their house is the most visible house on the cul-de-sac.
And where would this gate go?
Right. 30 feet back, but you can see that the driveway is
30 or
right dead
50?
center. Is there another picture? Oh, That's sort of the roundabout in front of it's very wooded in front
part
of
of the cul-de-sac,
Yeah, in front of.
So I looked at this.
And that's their driveway and their house, right?
Yeah, so we require gates to be 50% transparent, which means that you can look through and see the other side. I tried to understand this drawing this morning when I looked at it. This doesn't appear to be transparent at all.
I'm zooming in on it. The one that's 5'6" has 50% transparency.
Yes.
It's 2 by 2, which is 1.5 by 1.5 mahogany square sticks
Do we have
vertically
that to
with
put
an
on the computer?
1.5 space in between them.
Is that this one? No.
No,
But
those are squares, right?
I can't see the dimension on that, but I'm looking at,
This,
This
This
one,
is,
This is the one with the.
Can you enlarge that, please?
and how much, what percentage transparency? This one has 50%
Can you
transparency.
enlarge that, please?
Sorry?
I'm talking to.
the one that's on A102.
Yeah, this one has 50% transparency.
oh, well,
I don't
I
see it.
can't even understand that drawing. I mean, it's not a drawing that we would ever look at and understand.
And what about the
this is all-
columns?
this
What are
is the only one.
the size? What are the dimensions of the posts, the columns there?
Yeah, this, I mean, they are noted to be, it's not scanned very well. I think, I mean, they're 1.5 wide verticals with 1.5
Right.
spaces in between, and each space is labeled as space.
We have another hard copy if you want.
Yes.
Well, we have it here, but it's,
Actually, the posts are, the sticks, the vertical sticks are 1.5, and the spaces are 1.75 at the ends. I'm not.
Right.
So it's a 50%. There's the board form concrete 20-inch square posts.
Oh, my.
A gooseneck, standard gooseneck call box in front.
no,
I mean, it's very hard to see unless you zoom in.
6 inches. So 5, 6.
Oftentimes we get smaller versions of these plans, which are,
Looked at this and this and. But this is the only drawing that came with the application.
have you considered a 4-foot gate?
I told.
They don't even
I said,
have
you
to
can do
get our
anything you want
approval.
Sure. Please.
I'd love to address you guys.
Yeah, if you could
So
stand
why
at
don't
the
you, why
microphone,
don't you
please.
scoot over to the
and
microphones?
Absolutely.
identify yourself, please.
So good afternoon, and thanks for the opportunity to present in front of you. My name is John. Along with my husband, Jeff, we are the property owners at 34 Ashwood. I'd like to give a quick overview of the proposal just to give some color from me. We're proposing a gate that honors the architectural heritage of the neighborhood, integrates seamlessly with the natural environment, and follows a precedent set by our neighbors. We have a handout for you showing 6 precedents bordering on our street. It might not be on the cul-de-sac, but if you pull out 30 feet, they're there. I looked at the zoning guidelines when we came up with this plan. I read the ARB guidelines. I take this process super seriously and think you guys have a very important job to do. I saw the zoning code allows a gate up to 6 feet tall. I looked around at the gates that border my property, and that's how we came up with this height. So I'm confident that we meet and exceed the requirements of the ARB. And there are 3 guiding factors when we put together this proposal. First, we're committed to this community. It's beautiful. The wooded land is great. Over time, we've actually restored native plants on the property that the previous owner had clear cut. We've worked with a local landscape architect named Sam Patton to undo this. And since May 2024, we planted 600 little blue stem, 250 bayberry plants, 80 eastern red cedars, 60 white pines. The purpose of this gate is to help preserve these native species in the front yard and protect them from wildlife that could damage our efforts. The area has tons of deer that come through on a constant basis and are eating these plants already. So a 6-foot gate would really help us there. Second, safety is a huge priority for us. For us, our friends, our family, our pets. Some of these kids spend a lot of time at our house, in our front yard, and we have cars that enter unannounced, uninvited into our driveway all of the time. Additionally, you can see from the photos, our house has direct sightline at the street with huge windows that go into our living room, kitchen, and bathrooms. At night, headlights shine into these areas and make them hard to use. We've tried to strategically put plants in the front yard to mitigate this. It hasn't worked. So that's why we're requesting this gate on our property.
So was the large number of plants you planted, was that part of a revegetation program?
Correct.
So you didn't have to do that. You were told you had to do it to get the CO for the property.
Absolutely not. We've done this. Our C of O came in January and we planted these in May. So this is
So it was revegetating on your own?
on my own.
Okay,
Correct.
okay,
Correct.
okay. And these gates that you've given us, I mean, I can't tell the dimensions of them. Are they?
They're all 6 feet, or I think in some cases, I'm sorry, the gates in the pictures I've given them are all 6 feet. I'm not talking about this, are all 6 feet or higher. Except there may be one that is under 6 feet, but the rest I'm confident are over 6 feet.
Well, 7 Ashwood Court looks,
Correct. 7 Ashwood Court would be the one exception.
yeah, and that looks like about 4 feet or 5 feet.
Yeah, I think that's probably an unpermitted 4-foot gate. And I do understand we could do a 4-foot gate and not have to go through this, but I think it's important for us to adhere to the requirements and go before you and get something approved.
So why are these car lights shining in your windows at night? You're on a remote cul-de-sac, so who's
I
driving
mean, it's
around?
a public street. There's Ubers who come down there and park in the summertime on their breaks. There's delivery drivers constantly. I mean, I'm not going out there and speaking to people, but I do there are cars that come on this public street.
Well, because it's a public street.
Correct.
But it seems, okay. Kathy and Chris, do you have some thoughts?
Yeah, I do. I'm trying to find the code language here on fences and gates. I mean, and I can't at the moment.
On
but I
the
would-
code language on what?
On fences and gates, you know,
I
one of
have it in
our,
front of me if you'd like it.
well, that's okay, thanks.
I think they know the.
Yeah, I mean,
One of our responsibilities is to prevent a walled, like,
Absolutely.
you know, a wall, please let me finish. I'm happy to hear more from you, but let me have a chance to talk. This presents like a wall to me. The 50% transparency is good. The columns are big and they seem massive to me. I would be willing to consider a 5-foot gate, and I would ask you to make the columns smaller. And they're very bulky. I understand what you're trying to achieve, but I think that you can put shades or curtains in your windows if you're worried about light shining in. You know, it's just cars drive on roads. There's not that much we can do about that. I think you can achieve if you're trying to keep people from getting into your driveway, you could do the same thing with a 4-foot gate. You don't need a 6-foot gate for that purpose. So
It's also.
I'm just inclined to
What's the others?
for 6 feet. Are there any other covenants and restrictions that go along with this subdivision besides the 50 feet? Is that it?
I don't think so. This is not part of the Bell Estate, right?
Not that I know of.
No, I don't
Okay.
think so either. Anyway,
6 foot does provide.
this is very
additional
cleverly done.
Visual privacy.
I'm aware, but I don't feel, as a rule, we do not approve 6 feet, 6 feet gates in the front yard. And a likely possibility is, and you were here when we talked to the other gentleman whose gate was at 7 feet, these gates were probably put in without permits. They probably are not CO'd. I can't think of a board in the last 20 years of the ARB that would have approved a 6-foot gate in the front yard. It's just not what we do. So I understand why this would lead you to believe you could do it, but it's part of it's part of the struggle we have, is that people are seeing things out in the community that don't have approvals and then submitting things to us that match that aesthetic, and we
only
can't support it.
concerned with your property.
Yeah, Chris, your thoughts?
I think, I mean, anything up to 4 feet, you wouldn't be before us at all. You could just get a permit and build it. I think 6 feet, even a 4-foot gate would address issues of people coming uninvited up your driveway, for sure. it's understandable. I think the mitigating conditions of this property are that it is the only house that was sited in, direct sight line right down the driveway. So that does seem different than the other
There's
properties.
one other way you
Okay.
can see the house.
So that, that could be seen as a mitigating circumstance. And, obviously the taller the fence and gate, the more you're going to keep the deer out. But that's, we've
6 foot doesn't keep them out either.
6 foot.
Right.
Yeah, they can see through, a slightly transparent fence anyway and jump, and they jump over what they can see through at that height. I agree that it's very likely that any number of these other contextual photographs could be of gates that were not necessarily approved by the ARB. So I definitely appreciate the effort in putting together a contextual study of the area, but I don't know if it's a useful one in terms of, if these were all documented as approved gates, that would be one thing. My suggestions would be to go with a version of the A102 option, which is 5'6" as drawn.
Mm-hmm.
If it were to say, I'd be willing to. My understanding of the code is that we are up to 4 feet is approved automatically. It doesn't come before us. Anything 4 feet up to 6 feet, we have the discretion to approve. Anything over 6 feet, we cannot. So, I think that it does feel a little bit imposing and solid in terms of the kind of open character that we're trying to preserve on all streets. But I think you're getting close to, you certainly have the 50% transparency in the gate design. If it, I'd be open to something at 5 feet with a slightly scaled down from 20, sort of a proportionally scaled down from the 20-inch concrete piers to something that scales to more to the 5 foot. Otherwise, you've got your 4 inches at the bottom for the swing gates that will, probably address any rise in the driveway. The dimensions, I've zoomed in on the drawing, and I think we got very small copies in our file of this, so it's impossible to read the teeny little dimensions and handwriting.
The application itself says 6 feet. So I have to admit that I didn't realize that this was 66 inches.
Yeah, the option, which is more solid and 6 feet, I think is a non-starter for this board.
Yeah.
I think we're trying to understand the mitigating circumstances of having a house that's sited right in line with your driveway, which I don't know if that was. I don't know if that was your doing to if you bought the house.
No.
Yeah, so it wasn't a condition that you created. So I'd be open to considering a 5 foot version of this A102 half 50% open mahogany slat
I agree with that.
gate.
I would
think-
go with that.
Make the post maybe 16 by 16.
Yeah, but these posts are very urban to me. They're giant cement posts. It reminds me of something you'd see, in a New York City flanking a fancy apartment house or something. So
Yeah.
your opening statement was you appreciate the rural nature of where you live. You appreciate the greenery. This gate doesn't conform to that. I mean,
The posts don't.
the posts don't, and I think the drawing is misleading. I really want to see a real drawing with the boards filled in, so we're not looking at something that's sort of abstract here. I want to see a board, a space, a board, a space. This is very hard to comprehend. I'd be okay with 5 feet, and I think that's the consensus that you're kind of coming with, but you got to give us a better drawing, and you got to do something else with these posts.
Yeah, the columns are too.
They look like they belong in
They're
Newport.
too
They do not
industrial.
belong up off Old Stone Highway.
Okay,
Okay?
noted.
I mean, we want to be helpful to you, but
All right, so we have an agreement on 5 foot, and then we'll make the smaller post maybe some design around the post, maybe to cover it with ivy or?
No, I would rather see wooden posts, frankly.
Just plain wood, yeah. some
Cedar
wood.
posts, clear cedar.
Continue the slats,
That-
the same wood slats around the.
That
post.
would match the gate to the slats
I
of the
mean,
posts.
in their defense, it is a board form concrete, which does have a board pattern imprinted
still
in the
concrete.
concrete.
Yeah, it's still
But it's a but it is a concrete post.
We've seen this before where the concrete just reads as massive when you pull
Yeah.
up to it.
So we'll continue.
Not Tado Ando fans here.
Now what?
Tado Ando, Japanese architect.
Tonawanda.
Hondo, yeah.
Well, yeah,
Guess not.
less is more.
Yeah.
I just think the rural nature of this really does not conform to cement piers.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
We'll continue the fence. Then.
Can you, and show us a better depiction of the fence, of the gate.
Please.
of the gate. And I think we're inclined to say 5 feet. Diane, you're okay with it?
Yeah, I think are you okay?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's unfortunate that you want to put this big gate, but
I'm with you on that.
At the same time, everybody on this cul-de-sac could come in with a 4-foot gate and we wouldn't have anything to say about it. And then there'd be a gate all around. So, we can't say no to gates in principle. They have the right to put a 4-foot gate. We're trying to work with them and find something at a 5-foot height that seems.
And that's 5 foot from grade. It's not a 5-foot gate. It's 5 foot from.
Right.
And they've actually dimensioned that on their drawing from grade, so
Good.
that's
Well,
commendable.
That's good. That is commendable because it's not always the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's also in scale with the houses.
Well, the house looks big. I get that. Looking up the driveway, it looks like a big house. But
Yes.
I'd love to see a Tadao house down this driveway, actually. It'd be really cool.
Me too, but good luck.
All right. Okay.
okay, so thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Fences, walls, gates, and berms.
Okay, continuing under fences, walls, gates, and berms, we're up to 225 Old Montauk Highway, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 300-87-1-17. Diane, this is yours. This is in Montauk.
yes. Is someone here?
Is there a representative for this? Come on up.
Shannon is
Shannon,
here.
hi.
Yeah. Oh, and Shannon's the next one too.
Hi.
Shannon McCaffrey, Dewey's
Hi.
Father.
So this is an application for a driveway gate on Old Montauk Highway. Now,
In Montauk.
in Montauk, but
Not Old
I mean,
Montauk.
Old Montauk Highway is probably one of the most special, precious. Unfortunately, though, there are other gates on Old Montauk Highway. Not so many, but there are a few.
More and more.
More and more. So we would love to keep to a minimum. And this is a gate that they're proposing a 6-foot gate, a 6-foot, quite solid gate. Now, what I have taken pictures of is I understand where they're coming from because the house has a very particular aesthetic. Can you show those pictures, Will, please? So this is the house, but the house is it's only 1 acre, but it has a very, very long driveway. The house is way, way, way at the rear of the property. So you don't see the house from Montauk Highway at all.
And this is on the inland side? It's
This
inland.
is on, yeah, it's on the inland side. So you see the house is very, very particular, very stark and very, so naturally they want a gate that goes with the house. My thinking was that perhaps, since the driveway is so long, if you could show Will now the survey. Since the driveway is so long, if they want this gate that looks like the house, it would seem to me that if you could see the gate and the house at the same time, it would make more sense. And so if they move that gate further onto that driveway, see where it curves. I mean, you wouldn't be able to any longer see it from Montauk Highway, but for their own aesthetic purposes, when people visited them, they would see their gate and then they would see the house. But if it were, I think now they're proposing that it's, maybe 30 feet from the road. See, I'm saying if they put the gate here, then you wouldn't be able to see it anymore.
And what's your feeling on the height?
Well, if you couldn't see it, I would be more flexible about its wall-like look and the height. But the proposed, I think, is
Did we see
totally.
that? Yeah, I just was gonna.
It's
This is the
2-inch,
proposed
2-inch
gate.
cedar wood shiplap
Right.
cladding with 2-inch openings in between the horizontal boards.
Okay.
So where's the shiplap?
I'm not understanding what shiplap means.
I don't think shiplap's the best way. It should really be 2-inch cedar wood.
Shiplap.
Just,
Not clad.
I thought it was a solid gate.
It's not solid. It'll have the 50% transparency.
Oh, okay.
It's not the best drawing. I think they should probably
No, it's
define the top of each.
They should color in the boards, yeah.
would-
Shiplap means it fits into. each other.
Exactly. It's not
Yeah.
supposed to be that tongue and groove.
Okay.
And so it's supposed to have the 2-inch spacing, not to be
Got it.
fully solid. And the only reason I would be concerned about putting it so far up the driveway is if it is an unwanted guest, it's a very long driveway.
Well, even if it was another
On both
10 or
sides.
20 feet back.
Yeah, just to push it back, not way down, but just to push it back a little more so it's outside of the view of Montauk
Yeah,
Highway.
so it's outside of the view.
Yeah, it
I think it
doesn't- I
doesn't
think
take
another
much, and I think it would
10 or 20
it would
feet,
give the
yeah.
whole idea of the integrity of the gate looking like the house, and because it's obviously
We
a
need better
very
drawing
particular
before
point
we
of
do
view.
this.
can I ask what's there now? Because it looks like there's fence with overhang. It's labeled on the survey. It says fence with overhang, and it comes up to either side of the proposed 14-foot wide gate.
Right. I think
Is that there now?
it is there now. I believe it's similar to the deer fence mitigation, like around like the airport.
Oh, right.
it's
Where it kind of
that-
comes
It's an
back
overhang,
out, so it's
yeah.
not the
Yeah.
6 feet.
Is there a gate there now to close that
There
gap?
is not a gate there
No.
now. And so also it's not straight onto Montauk Highway, parallel with Montauk Highway. It's more angled. So I don't believe that you would have that extreme feel that if it's straight on the property line that you would see it.
I
And
think-
so, and you're also traveling at a higher rate on Old Montauk Highway than
20 feet.
some of the side
Yeah.
roads.
Yeah, I think it would make all the difference in the world, and then they could keep their,
But we need a better design.
their
We need a
aesthetic.
different design for the gate.
that's.
This is Shannon,
my
a couple of things.
proposal.
The drawing is not good. You need a drawing that's accurate, that shows us the wood
Okay.
colored in and.
And the
space.
description is
And-
I think there,
appropriate.
if we did maybe a higher scale.
Yeah, and we would highly encourage you to move this thing back 10 to 20 feet from where you want to put it, so you don't see it. And in that case, I'm going to guess we're okay with the 6 feet.
Okay. And I just want it 10 to 20 feet of driveway length, not 10 to 20 feet from property line.
Correct.
Front.
The
Up
driveway.
the
yeah,
driveway.
yeah.
Further-
Because that
further-
driveway is really curving right there where
Yeah.
you've got it, and further back to, on the survey, I'm looking at the survey now, and it's, and the elevation that gate is proposed is right it's right around 77 feet above sea level. So if you went back to the 76 foot above sea level, you are, it's dropping down in grade relative to the highway, and it's also about that far.
And
About
so
that far
less
back.
less visible.
Yeah,
I think it would make a big difference.
Yeah, it's a good suggestion.
because it looks like it's very heavily vegetated, and therefore really would screen a gate that was back there. You really wouldn't
Right.
see it.
Yep, I will definitely take these comments back to the client and the property owner. And
Okay, and the gate slides, it's one piece, it's one
yes, it's a
gate.
sliding gate.
Right.
I think with since it looks like there's been great effort taken to keep deer out, it probably need to extend or reconfigure the fencing if they
Fencing
wanted
to
it
meet
to
the
hook up
gate.
to the
Yeah,
to the
that
gate.
makes
So you
sense,
probably
yeah.
wanted to either bring it back parallel to the road on each side, or something
Right.
that concrete column.
Is that necessary for the
The weight?
electric gate? Sometimes they're heavy.
Sorry, which concrete column?
Well, you have to drive a column into the ground.
Oh, the
right,
Explorer's
Well, the
or
8-foot,
concrete column. I think that's also to help counter, be like a counterweight and keep it balanced.
I think
Since it's a slide gate, it's so much
Yeah.
longer.
It's
usually you'd
required,
see that much concrete in something like this or steel, and then if people want to clad it to match, it makes it bulkier. So
Well, then maybe.
8 inches is a pretty reasonably sized.
Right.
Cement column,
So,
Does it have to be
it's a
that
pretty
big?
for
8 inches, there's only $1 bill and 2 inches.
Yeah, no, I know. No, I'm just,
I mean, it's very
maybe
narrow.
we can get them to color it so it's not.
Well, and if we bring it back, it will be even more vegetated between the road.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
It'd
That we
just be
wouldn't
nice if it
really, it
matched
wouldn't
the
be
gate, that's
imposing.
Yeah, I don't think it could. It would have to grow in width if you're going to clad the concrete, because you'd have to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's less desirable.
Yeah, that old Montauk Highway needs to be preserved, that
That vista.
feeling,
yeah.
I think at all costs, because it's a very, very special place.
Mhm.
Okay, so we are in agreement with what
Yep.
we've said. Shannon, any questions on your side?
No, can we table it to a certain meeting, or how do we want to do
I
that?
have to wait till I get a solution.
Okay. And Shannon, we're going to deal with your next one, which is oddly enough, it's almost
Kind of
exactly the
similar.
same situation. It's like, do you have one driveway and gate design for all clients? Because it's,
Funny how we came to these similar ones.
okay, so this is 138 Bluff Road in Amagansett, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-175-1-39. And this is mine. So I'm just going to read what I thought about my visit. So this is an application to install a new set of driveway gates and replace an existing pedestrian gate. That is the pedestrian gate. It's quite charming, and it's directly in view to Bluff Road. If you're standing in Bluff Road, you look up the driveway, and this is straight ahead. And then, like the previous application, the rest of the driveway makes an S-curve to the left. This 1 acre property is near the town trustee's office, but on the inland side of Bluff Road. Because of the S-shaped driveway and the narrow but deep lot, only the existing pedestrian gate can be seen. Applicant seeks to remove the temporary driveway gates. Let's see the next picture, Will. Those are the temporary driveway gates to the left of the pedestrian gates, and install horizontal cedar board gates hung on 6-foot cedar posts, 6-foot high cedar posts. The gates are less than 50% transparent, the proposed gates, with the bottom halves being solid horizontal boards. There's deer fencing that abuts this. The deer fencing is a problem because the posts on either side are 7.5 feet tall and very obvious. The new pedestrian gate is 6 feet tall on 6-foot tall cedar posts and has a solid horizontal board for 2/3 of its height. So the bottom is solid, the top is a little open.
This is the proposed.
Yeah, so these are the proposed gates. So let me just wrap this up.
Yeah.
So it's very obvious that the pedestrian gate from the road, I find the existing gate extremely charming, and it's low, and to keep the deer out, I noticed they've put deer fencing across the top of it. And that gate is 48 inches high. So the height and density of both new gates, driveway and pedestrian, is less than optimal. Both new gates are very close to the property line. I think as a starter, these gates have to be made 50% transparent. And I don't know, on the height, I would really urge them to consider keeping the 48-inch gate that's there on the pedestrian side. It's a very charming way to look at the house.
Okay, yep. I can take that back to the client. I believe that I don't know if the board would be willing to vary from the 50% transparency. The reason that they have, I mean, we can definitely open up the top to match like 6 inches and 6 inches spacing. The reason that they were hoping for a solid bottom is I believe they have small dogs. And so they were concerned of them jumping through. And so that was,
Maybe they could just put a wire,
Mesh on
a wire mesh on the back. We'd much rather see that, yeah.
I agree. I'd like them
I
to
will
be a little
present that
lower.
to them as
too.
well.
Yeah.
With the driveway gate, given the perpendicular, how it's perpendicular to the property line, be okay at 6 feet in height?
I'd rather see it a little shorter. I mean, or 5.5.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think if they keep the pedestrian gate, they get points for that, okay? So that's a big plus, because that's what you actually see. Like the application we just looked at, you're never going to see this driveway gate because it's into the S curve. I think if they could take it down to 5.5 and make it transparent with a mesh behind it,
That works for me.
I sense we'd be amenable to that, Chris.
Is there going to be a call box on this?
Of course.
No, there's not going to be a
It doesn't
call
look
box
like
on
there's
this property.
room where it's located now anyway.
Yeah,
they
it's very tight.
They get out and open the gates, or how do they get in there?
I think it would be one of those automatic gates where like when you drive
Pull
up,
up
it
and it
automatically
opens, okay.
Yeah.
The buried wires.
Yeah.
You might also want to look at I don't know if that's, it doesn't look like it's really perpendicular to the line of the pathway of the driveway, which might help bring it back a little bit if the post that's closest to the front property line were pulled back a bit so that it's perpendicular. It's parallel, it's perpendicular to the
property line.
entry driveway there. I think it might feel a little bit awkward the way it's shown on the survey.
Yeah, if that went back 5 feet or so, I mean, that would make a huge difference because it is very tight, and they might build the post wrong, and it's going to be on the property line. And,
Yep.
it's going to be brick columns with those are brick.
Those are the existing. They were,
Oh, they're gone. Okay, got it.
those ones are
Oh,
gone.
so this is actually the existing survey. This is
Yeah,
not a
so
proposed.
they were hoping to, there was an existing driveway gate. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
it's
they demoed
gone.
it
Yeah.
already.
Is that the metal?
Well, that's a temporary substitute. I think they took out the previous gate.
You can kind of see them in the back of that photo if you are able to zoom in.
So those are the temporary gate. Oh, those are the,
Those were the
oh,
old columns.
the
and so they were
columns.
kind
even
of
further back, yeah.
And
hoping
lower.
to put them.
They're 4
Lower,
feet.
yeah.
So those are the 4-foot brick.
Like those.
Oh, so they match the columns on the pedestrian
Right.
gate.
Old gates.
Yeah, it has the black strapping around the brickwork the same way.
So do they want to use those brick columns or bring the thing forward?
No, they were proposing to do cedar post,
Okay.
1 foot wide,
Yeah, with the gate.
narrow, not
yeah.
so.
Okay, so maybe they move the gate back somewhere between the temporary gate and the brick post.
Yeah, it would be where the brick one is.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Even
okay.
better. Yeah.
That's where they would like the gate
I see.
located.
And that's actually right on the property line. So these gates are not on your these gates are in the right of way, actually.
Yeah, no,
It might be a
it's
slight problem.
temporary.
Yeah.
They'll be gone as soon as we get approval.
Okay. Okay, so everyone on agreement with this? Diane? Chris?
Yeah, I think that a little bit of maintenance on that existing gate, if they're a pedestrian gate, if they're so inclined, would indeed go a long way. It is
Charming.
charming.
Yeah, it's a nice
Look,
little
and
gate. Yeah.
And it's definitely the most visible part, which is
Right.
what concerns me the most is, I'm, if you can't see it from the right of way, it matters a whole lot less to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Same.
Okay.
Great. I will take this back and see you
Okay,
guys
thanks a lot,
next time.
Shannon. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So moving on to agricultural overlay, this is Pamela Mahoney modification, care of Louis Savarese, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-200-02-21. This is our friend 98 Beach Lane in Waynescott. This was Frank's, but in his absence, it is mine. So I'm just going to make a few comments. I visited the site again. So this is an application to move a small traditional cottage back 138 feet from its present location on Beach Lane. The property is rectangular and is nearly an acre. We have been reviewing other minor changes to this property over the last 2 years and have been favorably inclined. Applicant states the possible sale of the large tract of land directly across from this house and its possible development have made them to ask for moving the house back so they're protected and they're not going to see anything that could get built across the street. Grading and a retaining wall we previously approved would not be necessary if the house gets moved back. The small garage will remain where it is. I assume the driveway ends there and there'll be a walkway back to this much further back house. Grading and elevation changes for FEMA requirements will place the house about 4 feet higher on the property than it is now. We will need to know if there are any changes to exterior lighting in the past. There haven't been. Eventually you're going to need an updated C of O for the garage. This is a charming cottage that has survived the McMansion infiltration of Beach Lane, which was once a street of charming, modest cottages. Anything we can do to preserve this building and its charming location should be our first priority. Louis, you want to chime in?
Well, I think you covered most of everything. They will still be grading from the road, but because they're so far back, it'll be very gradual. They won't need the farm retaining wall that you approved because it's past the driveway. So it's basically the same application, but relocating it.
Okay.
138 feet.
Yeah, which is sizable, but it's a very deep lot. And there's no lighting changes?
No.
Okay, so that's fine. I think this is a win-win for everybody.
Can I just ask you about the 4-foot change in what I assume is the base of the building? I didn't see anything in the application showing what that's going to look like.
This is the modification of what was approved, which was shown. It's exactly the same.
I got you. So
the house will be approximately 2 feet above the new grade.
Okay. I think I wasn't on the board at that time, so I apologize. But so the foundation work is already, the FEMA compliant work is already approved, and so never mind.
Yeah. No, it's a good question. I'm glad you brought that up. I want to congratulate the Mahoneys for being so aesthetically attuned and making such a nice contribution to the character of this lovely little lane and reminding people of what's important about this place.
Yeah. Commendable.
Commendable.
Very commendable.
Okay, so we're all in agreement? So I make a motion to approve this application as presented.
Second.
Great.
All in favor?
Aye.
So be it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, still in agricultural overlays. We're moving on to Feathertop Farm, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-159-2-1.5. This is 194 Cedar Street in East Hampton, and this is mine.
This is Feathertop Farm.
Yeah. So Isabel, I'll make a few comments and I'll ask you to chime in.
Okay,
So
thanks.
this is an application to approve window and door replacements already underway on a small cottage on this 12-acre Feathertop Farm, which is owned by the town and leased to the applicant for raising crops. The property abuts the Catholic cemetery on the left, and the longhouse is the property abutting to the rear. A stop work order was issued March 18th of this year when the renovation was discovered. The one-story cottage is about 500 feet back from the property line, so you see it, but you don't really see the details of it. The cottage appears to date from the year 1950s, 1960s, and the existing windows and doors are failing. The existing windows and doors are in the colonial style. They're paned, and they're quite charming. The replacements are Anderson sandstone colored 1/1 windows. They're 400 series. Door replacement would be single panels of glass. So those are the windows that have already been replaced. That's facing the road, I think. The trim will be painted sandstone color to match the windows. Given how far the structure is back from Cedar Street and the need to make the building water watertight and weather-tight. I don't have an issue for completing this work that was started. I think the cottage will lose some of its charm with more contemporary modern windows, but they will not be visible from the street. So if that's what the owner would like, I really don't have an issue with it. Anything I missed?
I don't think so. I just want to apologize for starting the process without the permitting. Our contractor thought it was a repair and didn't know we needed a building permit or ARB approval, so we didn't find out about that until the stop work order. We wouldn't have gone through with it. Otherwise, like you said, we're renting the parcel from the town of East Hampton, me and my partner, and we started a vegetable farm there, and we live in this house.
Right, sure
and
has.
the trim was rotting. We had a few flying ant infestations that were living in the rotting trim. We had a pest control company come and they said, you should replace these doors. The panes would fall out every time we tried to clean them. The water was getting in, like you said.
Sure. No worries. No worries. Anyone, any questions?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit more charming with the mullion glass, but I always wonder if Thomas Jefferson could have got big panes of glass, would he have used them?
What do you have done?
And
Probably.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, I would lean toward replacing them in kind, but this is not a historic building. It's in an ag overlay. So I think, and given its distance from the road, I think we can.
Well, and in cases where we've had similar Anderson window replacements for 100 series, we require that the pane grids, the snap-in grids be in place. I drive by those houses a year later and they're long gone. So unless it's really attached to the window, it doesn't really make a difference. Okay, so I think we're all favorable on it. I make a motion to approve this application as submitted. Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, thank you very much.
Okay, we did Chris.
Good luck, by the way.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
Okay, we did number 8 already. So we're to issuance of C of O. This is a 4 Ranger Path in East Hampton, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-55-6-12. Kathy, this is yours.
Right. So this was before us a few weeks ago for CO, and if you could just advance through the pictures there, Will. Let's get the gate. You could leave it there for a minute. Thank you. So this was the gate. It didn't meet any of the criteria as part of the resolution. Since the last time we saw it, they did remove some boards, so it's more than 50% transparency, for which I am grateful. But one of the primary problems we had with it was that the left leaf and both leaves are 6 feet, and nothing was supposed to be over 5 feet 6 inches. The posts or columns were even higher than that, but what's been done is a bunch of mulch has been padded up around the outside of it as if somebody just put a shovel full of mulch there. It's not really the grade to indicate that, to measure it from grade, it's still not compliant. This is another example of what we talked about earlier, where I think we need to urge the town to pass some kind of regulatory process to hold contractors accountable in some way, because this is a big waste of my time to go back there, and it's up in God's country to see that it was still not compliant. The leaves of the gates are still 6 feet. So there was no attempt made to bring it down. They simply piled up some mulch around the base. They didn't even make a full-on attempt, to make the entire grade up higher. So,
so the gate now is how high?
6 feet. And it's supposed to be 5 foot 6 inches.
And the posts are 64 inches, so 5'4" above the mulch.
Yeah.
Yes, well above. So it's not ready. I think we should send them a letter of, a follow-up letter. But I would, I'm happy to draft a letter for the board if you're willing,
Well-
Pete, to like,
Julie's looked into this.
okay, because
so-
it's enough already.
So this
you know.
is through their agent that this gate has been worked on. Julie, can you get the phone number of the owners of this property? And we'd like to call them and have a chat with them, because this is not in their interest, the way this is being handled, and it's certainly not in our interest. Okay. So this is denied.
It's just incomplete at the moment, not really.
Okay.
They really need to follow the resolution.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, I mean,
They have a resolution they need to follow, right?
They have a resolution ready to go.
well, we can't,
So we're tabling this, yeah.
yeah, we can't approve it
Okay,
this
so it's
because
being
it doesn't
tabled.
meet the criteria in the resolution, yeah.
So be it.
Okay, thank you.
Now, still under C of O's, item 10, Nassau Council of Girl Scouts, 103 Flaggy Hall Road, Springs, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-37-2-1. Kathy, this is yours also.
Yes, it is, and there's the telephone pole at Camp Blue Bay, the cell phone pole at Camp Blue Bay. It's, I'm assuming it's 180 feet. I could not measure that. So everything about it seems to comport with the 180-foot, here it is. Construct a personal wireless service facility consisting of a 180-foot tall monopole, 70 by 70 foot fenced-in leased equipment compound area. And it goes on to talk about what it did. So it is 70 feet by 70 feet. The fence and gate are, a little 8 feet and 8 feet 5 inches in various places. And the equipment cabinet, or that building back there, seems to be comporting with what the plans were. I did call Tina about this, and I mentioned it to Chip, because I feel like this was listed under a change to commercial, and I feel like personal wireless facilities have a different, set of criteria that we need to look at. And in the instances where I recall us being called in on these things, and it's mainly for the one over by the, Auxiliary Fire Department on Bull Path, and also St. Peter's Chapel, we've only been able to really review the fence and any changes to color, materials, et cetera, to the buildings. So I just, bring that up for the board's consideration, but this, it just, as a change to commercial, I didn't feel like there were any real boxes I could tick to see if it met those criteria. It's just, the resolution was for a change to commercial. So Tina was recommending that we just develop a whole new application process just for cell towers, which I think is sensible, because we already have Cityscape reviewing all these things for us. There's a consultancy firm that reviews these things. So I think our area of purview is quite narrow in this instance. So applying the change of commercial criteria just seems like, too much.
What would you like to comment on, the fencing and the buildings, or?
I think that's the only thing we can comment on, is the fencing.
Conformance with the resolution?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It is. I recommend that.
It's not attractive, but it is what it is.
It's you can't see it. You have to drive it. Yeah, it's unattractive in that if you're coming out of the camp area, you drive out and see this thing. I'm sorry they didn't landscape the front of it in some way so that the Girl Scouts don't have to look at it, or whoever else is using the camp in such a way, because it's right at the turn that you make. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that, but you turn off through Harbor Road, and then the road, it sort of splits, and you go to the right to go to the camp, and this cell tower facility is to the left there, and it's cleared and so forth, and that's fine. But it's and it's not, you can't see it from the road. You can't see it from through Harbor Road, but you can see it from but that's not, that's not what we're asked to do right now. But,
Right.
And there was no, the resolution was just for the tower and the fence and, that kind of thing. So I would recommend that we
Review that. Okay.
make a motion to, does anybody have any questions?
Nope.
But I just want to throw out there that maybe as a convenience, we try to, see if we can't just get a separate application for cell towers, because it would be easier, I think, for everyone, just instead of trying to apply this changes to commercial. Yeah, it's a different thing. And Cityscape can probably help us with that if we need it. I make a motion to instruct staff to notify the building department this applicant has satisfied the conditions and substantially conforms to the resolution dated December 22nd, 2022, and a certificate of occupancy can be issued.
All in favor? Second?
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so passed.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. And last, historic district, this is Parsons Blacksmith Shop, owned by the town of East Hampton, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-80-1-4, 1 Parsons Place in Springs. No, it's actually in East Hampton.
It's in Springs.
It's in Springs.
Springs Historic District.
But it comes up as East Hampton. Interesting. Okay.
It's in the town of East Hampton.
Yeah, Chris, all yours.
This is a resubmission of the application we reviewed at our 7/11/24 meeting for some much needed siding and exterior trim repair and replacement for the historic Parsons Blacksmith Shop in the heart of the Springs Historic District. We had expressed concern at the meeting about the execution of some of the detailing and provided the applicant with comments in the form of an incomplete letter dated July 12th. Subsequent to that letter, on July 25th, I met at the property with Ian Calder-Piedmont from the town and Matt Jedlicka, principal of LKMA Engineering, who had prepared the drawings and specs for the project. And we had a great meeting, reviewed the structure, the issues that came up with the review. It was really productive, and we addressed that meeting really addressed very directly our concerns about preserving and protecting the historic building. So that went very well. In this new application, Matt has provided a really clear written response letter to follow up on that meeting. And what he did is he provided a point-by-point reply, including our comments from the letter, and then a reply point by point. It was fantastic.
Great.
So I can review these now if it seems appropriate, but I'll say that Matt and his firm have gone above and beyond to provide thorough and considered responses that directly address all the concerns that we had in more than satisfactory matter. I mean, the rain screen detailing has been removed so that the siding is now closer to the plane of the existing. The siding and trim staining questions that we had, it was clarified because we didn't get all the specs from their drawing and spec set. So they included those on the drawings. So that's crystal clear now. And we had concerns about the windows. It turns out these windows are not historic. These were replaced, made by somebody in the 70s. They're wood windows. They're falling apart, but the long-term plan of the town is to replace them. The historic windows in the structure were 9/9. So this is not even. We're trying to worry about concern of these things rotting and how will the new stuff affect those. Really doesn't matter. The plan would be to do a restoration of windows over time. So absolutely. Didn't see an issue with what that was. We had questions about the stoop at that door on the right, and also the ramp. The ramp actually is in good shape. Doesn't need any work. They can replace that stoop in kind if they find that it is too deteriorated. So all in all, it's everything that we asked, they addressed and did a great job of it. And I think that I don't see any reason for not approving this and letting the town get going on bidding this out and getting this important work done.
Great.
All in agreement? Yep. Off we go.
All right. So I'll make a motion to approve this revised application as submitted.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Application approved.
Aye.
And thank you, Town of East Hampton and LKMA as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Matthew at LTV.
Thanks, LTV. Thanks, Charlie. Thanks, Will.
Charlie,
Close
Will.
it.
Can I have a
Motion to
motion to close
close.
the meeting?
So moved.
Second,
Made the motion.
all in favor, aye?
Aye.